Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon or good evening, depending on where you come from. Welcome everybody to this session. The title of today's session is Outsourcing Data for Research. Let's look at the agenda for today. On the agenda, we are going to, first of all, I'm going to introduce yourself, especially to those of you who don't know me. And then we'll look at the objectives and motives behind this presentation, and we'll look at what is data and what is research data, and then we'll look at data collection, then data collection sources. Then in the absence of data, we are going to look at how we can create our own data, and then of course we are going to talk about ethical issues surrounding data collection and data creation. And then lastly, we will talk about publishing our data sets if we create one. This is me, and my name is Muhammad Ubale Jakada Kiru. Currently, I'm a PhD student at the School of Computer Science, Universiti Sains Malaysia. And I got my master's degree from LPU Punjab, and then my bachelor's degree from University Kano. Then I'm also having some certifications in Microsoft, CISCO, EC Council, and CompTIA Security, which includes MCSA, MCP, CCNA, CEH, and CompTIA Security Plus certified. So currently, my area of expertise include cybersecurity, system analysis and design, securing PowerShell for Windows, then network communications, software implementation and management, and few others. So let's look at why and the reason behind this session. So first of all, I must tell you that this is not a teaching session, but rather I call it a knowledge sharing session. So this is just an avenue for me to share some of my ideas that I acquired during my period of study as a PhD student. So sharing knowledge is part of me, and I love doing this. And since the beginning of COVID-19, I try as much as possible to come up with such workshops time to time, so that we pass the situation together. And of course, the second motive is to assist young researchers who are actually facing problems in research. Especially myself, when I started PhD, I encountered a lot of problems, which I believe if I had the same opportunity like I'm sharing with you now, I'm very sure a lot of things would have been better. And then lastly, like I said, I'm trying to make use of the time so that we learn something at home, so that we don't feel bored completely. Moving forward, to start, let's look at what is data. So what is data? And based on what we can see here, data means different things to different people. Many people have their understanding of the version of data depending on the work they are doing with data. So we can say that data could be numbers, it could be text, it could be images. Now that we are in the era of machine learning and artificial intelligence, we can see that textual data and images are very common in the field of data science, and even other fields such as medicine, physics, and chemistry. So video can also be considered as data. There are many other types of data. And based on this second definition, talks about data as being basically any form of structured or unstructured facts and figures collected for a specific purpose, be it analysis, review, maybe testing a hypothesis, or anything to do with learning and so on. So this is about data. Then how about a research data? A research data, according to a definition given by Elsevier. Elsevier is a company, or rather, what should I call it? It's a repository of science where you find scientific proof of facts, where you find journals, articles, indexed articles, and so on. So according to Elsevier, research data refers to the result of observations and experiments that validate your research findings. And this type of data could be within a range of so many types of data. And some of them include raw files, event logs, software, codes, models, and algorithms. And somebody would be wondering how is it possible that a software is also considered as data? Of course, nowadays, any kind of piece of information that can help in a research is considered as data for that research. Now, when you have a data, how do you collect data? Or when you want to use a data, how do you collect the data? So first of all, what is a data collection? Data collection is the process of mining data. And what I mean by mining, not mining oil or mining gas, but rather mining data. When you extract information, when you collect information, that is called data collection. Also, it could mean gathering of information, that is also data collection. It could mean analyzing information to find correlation or patterns in that information. The result of that information could be used as data for research. And then lastly, we can say that data collection can also mean outsourcing for facts to test hypotheses in order to eliminate any form of assumption a researcher might have. So basically, this is what data collection is all about. Maybe I'm quite fast in this very phase of this presentation. Is because this presentation is more like hands-on, so most of the things will include demonstration and illustrations. So I want us to quickly look at these concepts because they are very well-known concepts. You can find them everywhere. Okay, so this is why. So let's look at what is the next on the agenda. So let's look at the sources of data collection or sources for data collection. And basically, it is something that has been unanimously agreed by researchers that there are two sources of data collection. That is the primary sources and the secondary sources. The primary sources of data, they include information collected and processed directly by the researcher through observations, through interviews, through simulations, through machine-generated data, and so on. So any kind of data that we use through something that we create or observe or extract or mine, that is called primary source of data. And then on one hand, secondary sources of data are talking about those existing texts or articles or internet archives or publications and even training materials that are there for us to access and to use for the purpose of research. We study them, we use them to build our arguments, and so on. So this is basically the two types of data collection sources. Let's look at them in details. So I have categorized this table into 4 to show the sources of data collection, and then a little bit about the source, and then some techniques used in the collection process, and then of course analysis tools, because it is of significant concern to researcher to understand what they should use in the analysis of data. So starting with the first one, which is an interview. And as we all know, interview is something that is conducted between the researcher and the subject. And it could be person to person, it could be person to many people, it could be person to group of people. So, and these days it could be conducted on telephone or via social media and so on. So some of the techniques of that we use in collecting interviews, number one, include camcorders. They are normal cameras, but they should be good enough to capture every information and every movement or every emotion in that particular picture, depending on the purpose of why we are taking the interview. Likewise, audio recorders should be able to capture good information in form of voice or audio, and then to eliminate any form of noise that could come from background. And then another source is Zoom. You can use this online let me call them online conferencing tools, which allow you to communicate with people in a two-way direction, just like Skype and WebEx. So we also have recording apps which come with mobile phones, which can help you in recording sessions with people. So now, after you have recorded your information regarding whatever you are interviewing, there are some tools which we can use in the analysis of your data. And I'm going to share a few with you. Okay. Number one is Adobe Premiere. I'm going to show you quickly. Wait a minute. Adobe Premiere is a product of Adobe. You all know what Adobe Photoshop is. So for Premiere, it is a very, very sophisticated software which people use these days for extracting video, for editing the video, for modification and so on. So this is the website for Adobe Premiere. People use it for editing, people use it for so many things. So you can, manipulate the video you collected from anybody or any kind of audio. You can add things, you can remove things such as background noise and so on. And you can use a trial version of this. And I think the trial only lasts 30 days or so. Yeah. And then we have Biduli, and then we have ViralSat. These are also some quite good applications that you can use, especially Biduli. It can even capture things which were not captured by you at the time you were actually taking the video, such as background information that might be relevant to the research. Then we look at questionnaires. Questionnaires are very popular tools for sourcing data. And then, as we know, they include responses that can be retrieved via online questionnaires or paper-based and so on. Nowadays, people use techniques such as Google Form or SurveyMonkey to create online questionnaires to facilitate research. So let's look at some examples of how we can use Google Form. And Google Form is just like this. You can type Google Form, and then of course it will take you to this location. You can choose personal, and then from personal you should be able to choose any existing template to create your questionnaire. Otherwise, you can just create a blank and start it all over from the beginning, from scratch. So let me just use an existing one and see what I can do with it. Yeah, so you can change the information. As you can see, I can change the information. I can create my own information. I can even delete this whole thing. As you can see, I can delete it, and then of course I can add one or two things that I wish to add on this. I can allow people to write if I want. I can allow people to write in paragraphs, or I can give them the opportunity to choose multiple choices by adding the choices here. Okay, then I can make someone use drop down in case I have many options to choose for a particular question. So there are many things that we can do using this. You can create a title and add a description. You can add images, you can add videos. It depends on how complex you want it to be. And then after this is completed, after you have completed filling this information, you can just go to send. And if you have people's email, you can just send it to them via their email by adding their email and then invite them to check the questionnaire. You can even add a collaborator, somebody who can work on this questionnaire remotely from another location. You can also copy the link. When you copy the link, you can paste it on your Facebook page or on any page where you wish to share the information. And of course, you can shorten the URL so that you should be able to enjoy looking at it. Sometimes it doesn't look good to be so lengthy like this. And of course, you can use it and embed it within a HTML website if you want to do so. This is something a little bit advanced, so you can just copy or you can cancel. So later on, after people have done some responses or have given some responses, you can come to responses and check and see who has written something or who has filled the questionnaire and so on. You know, all this information related to that. You can also download all the responses using this option so that you can use it to analyze using a software or something else. So this is Google Form. The other one is SurveyMonkey. SurveyMonkey actually is another platform which is an alternative for Google Form. Likewise, Zoho Survey. They are all applications. You can try each one of them if you want. And of course, we have the another tool for analysis of such data. We have SPSS. We have Excel. Excel, we all know Microsoft Excel. For SPSS, SPSS is the data analysis tool. SPSS, okay, it's a data analysis tool, and it can help you in understanding data in its fullest. You can understand the correlation of data. You can look at statistical value of a given data and so on. You can use it for so many things, and I believe they have a trial version. You can always have a trial version, and then of course you can do a lot of things to do with your research with SPSS. And we have Excel, we have Tableau. Tableau is another powerful software, and Tableau uses a machine learning, or it uses artificial intelligence to make your experience with data very, very smooth. And this is the website. You can always come to the Tableau website, and from there you should be able to try by downloading it. Even if you cannot download it, there is always an opportunity where you can go to support and try to ask Tableau to allow you to use student version or teachers version. They allow students and teachers to download Tableau for free and use the full version, but you cannot use the full version unless if you have evidence that you are currently a student or working on a research related to school. So you can submit your case here with all the evidence, and then you will be given 1 year license to use Tableau for free. So moving forward is observation. Observation, as we all know, has to do with sitting and watching or monitoring people doing things or objects or subjects, and we capture their activities, and we can do that by monitoring them under surveillance cameras or recorders, or sometimes we can use event monitoring software to monitor the activities of subjects. And as for analysis tool, it depends on the field of study you are working on. So a more generic analysis tool could also be artificial intelligence. Now with artificial intelligence, we can study data, we can study text, we can study videos and audios as well. Then the next thing is about simulation, and simulation allows you to create a virtual environment for testing one particular sample or another, or to test and see how your subject behave in a given environment. And by that, we can use simulation software such as virtual machines and sandboxes to study or to monitor how things are done. Some examples include ParaView, MATLAB, and some AI. We can use both of them to simulate things within an environment. One of the examples of virtual machine I can give you is the VMware, Microsoft VMware. You can always download it from Microsoft website. Another example I can give you is the example of VirtualBox. With the VirtualBox, you can create an artificial environment where we can install as many systems as possible, especially where you don't have much funding for your research. You should be able to use one of these two to create image of computers when you cannot afford to buy one. or many. So you can use VirtualBox or virtual VMware to conduct your test on it. You can also use what we call Sandbox. There are many products of sandboxing which can be used for research. There are many versions of sandboxing. Okay, they create an artificial environment for you. Likewise, we have simulation software such as ParaView, which gives you the opportunity to actually simulate chemical equations, to study physics and so on. We can run many simulations, especially 3D simulations, as you can see, using ParaView. And then we have MATLAB. MATLAB also can help you sometimes with those things. So these are some of the things we can use with simulation. Now moving forward.
All right. So I think somebody's sound is still, we can hear some sounds from the background. Can you please check and disable your sound? Okay, good. All right. So quickly, I will show you some examples of virtual machines. For example, we have what we call VirtualBox. Okay. With a VirtualBox is a free software, and with a VirtualBox you should be able to create such kind of computers that I was telling you about. I can create multiple computers using VirtualBox, and also I can use ParaView. ParaView is also a free application. Yeah, okay, this is VirtualBox. It is created by Oracle. Okay, so you can just download it. You can download for Windows, you can download for Mac operating system, for Linux operating systems. So you can download it for so many things. So this is also ParaView. With ParaView, if you are doing your research on chemicals or on some kind of mechanical things, or something that has to do with representation of data in a 3D format, then ParaView is the best thing you want for such kind of data. So you can take note of that as well. Then let's look at focus group. Is just as same as interviews or maybe questionnaires, so we'll skip this. Then we look at social media sites. So when talking about social media sites, how are we going to source information, and when did social media sites even become sources of data? Now, from the last 5 years, I have noticed that people have started using social media data such as Facebook and Twitter to investigate one or two problems. And one of these problems that people are investigating using social media, especially Twitter and Facebook, number one is people are using social media platforms like Twitter to trace pandemics. For example, there's an outbreak of COVID-19. So with Twitter data, we can be able to understand which areas around the world are having the highest number of pandemic. I know it will be shocking to most of you, but this is real, and there are a lot of research on this kind of stuff. Also, people use Facebook data to study the sentiment of people, to study people who are suffering from what we call trauma, or sometimes stress or depression. So a lot of people use such kind of data. Also, another source of information that we can use from social media is the blogs. People can use blogs to study such kind of data. And what kind of tools do we use in analysis of this data? One of the best one is artificial intelligence tools. You can use AI using what we call machine learning or deep learning to study this kind of data. And another tool is the SPSS. SPSS is very powerful, and you can have it has a wide range of activities you can conduct on SPSS. Also, Tableau can do that for you. In fact, with Tableau, you can even extract the data directly from the source and dump it on Tableau, and Tableau will process the data for you and tell you your predictions. Then, if you are not so much acquainted with what we call programming languages, or you cannot process artificial intelligence data, then the easiest for you to use is something called Weka. I'm going to show you Weka a little bit. Weka is a machine learning or it's an artificial intelligence software which allows people who don't have much knowledge of programming to be able to study data. So you can just download it. It is free, and with this Waker, you can be able to solve problems such as classification problems. For example, you want to detect and see whether, let's say, content of water has salt or sugar. So you can train a computer to be able to detect and see whether the content of water is sugar or salt, for example. So using the platform, as you can see, this is an example of the platform. We can use Waker for classification. We can use Waker for prediction. You want to understand whether if you contest for election in your local government, you can be able to win or not. I know it sounds like a fairy tale, but believe me, it works. Donald Trump won his election using artificial intelligence. Everybody knows that. So you can use Waker for such kind of classification. You can use Waker for feature selection. Suppose you want to do some feature analysis of some kind of data. With Waker, you can be able to do feature selection as well. And next is case study. Case study, we all know what case study is. Whenever we intend to study something, we can look at the phenomena behind it, and it could be individuals, it could be a location, it could be an event or an organization. So we study phenomena sometimes using normal literature analysis. Sometimes we study phenomena based on the application of let's say observations, or by monitoring, or we can apply so many techniques. Now this is the electronic sources. I have decided to put this below so that I can deal with all this within a short time, and then we can look at so many sources of data. Now, many people who are doing research, they are faced with one problem when it comes to sourcing data for research. Some of this data we are going to use, or people are using for their research, it could be information related to other people. It could be maybe information related to some organization. Maybe you are working in an organization where you have to source petroleum data to study a petroleum problem. Or maybe sometimes you are dealing with, let's say, body measurement. I did a research recently about body measurement. So for me to create such a data, I have to look for the data on social media. I have to look for the data on public and private platforms. But if I could not find the data, then I have to look for it elsewhere. So now we are going to look at different types of electronic data and how we can source electronic data. And I want you to focus your attention on this area, because most of the people who do research in these days are using electronic data to conduct their research. So some of this data could include records, it could be statistics, it could be traffic data, it could be logs, it could be programming language codes, it could be a software, it could be any kind of web content such as Facebook data. Maybe you don't know how to collect a Facebook data. Somebody has turned on his sound system. You can please disable it, otherwise you will be distracting me. Okay, so I have collected some reliable sources for you for data collection process. And for your information, some of you are lucky to be in universities where the university is investing millions of dollars to source information for you, or to register, or to subscribe to those online sources for you. But in some universities, especially in Africa, especially in some of the universities in Nigeria, where I come from, our country is not that serious enough. It's not that we don't have the money. We have the money, but we don't have the commitment to pay millions of dollars to source for data for our students. So in case you belong to those students who cannot find data for free, I'm going to show you how you can find data, if not for free, but at least close to free. So for that, I have to go to Google, because we are going to do a lot of things with Google. So I hope I'm still audible and you can still hear my voice. If yes, tell me yes in the chat box, or you just raise up your hand. I can see your camera if you can hear me. Okay, good. All right, so let's begin. So the first source of information I want to show you when it comes to looking for data for primary studies is what we call Google Advanced Search. Okay, so basically Google is so powerful that many people don't even understand the power of Google. We can do a lot of incredible things with Google. So one thing that I like to show you is the use of Google Advanced Search tool. This is Google Advanced Search. So I will just click on this, And the first option that comes is this, so I'm going to check this. So let's look at how we can use Google Advanced Search to search for data. Let's say I'm working on a marketing data, and my research is somehow related to marketing, and I cannot source data, and I don't have much resources to source the data. So I can just say, okay, I'm looking for marketing data. Okay, so these fields are given to me so that I can be able to, you know, be specific in my search. Because when I just go to Google and say, okay, Google, sorry, google.com. If I type in Google, let's say marketing data, for example, marketing data, Google will just give me some random search. It could be anything, you know, websites and so on. But when I use Google Advanced Search, I can be able to limit the data scope to something to, let's say I want the data to have something to do with CSV, for example, because I want to use the data on a software to study one or two things. Okay, I can also say the word should be between something to do with marketing and then, or something to do with, let's say, business. I'm not from the management field, sorry if I'm bluffing. And then I can say the data should not include anything to do with science, for example. And then I can say the data should range between, let's say, 2005 to 2019, for example. Then I can choose the language in which the data was written. I can say, let's say, English. I can say region. I don't want to specify the region because it can limit the search. I can specify the time. I can specify a domain if I have one. If you are looking for a legitimate data, then you can say, I want the data to come from .edu, .org, meaning an organization, and then I want something to do with let's say .gov, for example. .gov means government. So they will give me only data that comes from a government organization, okay, or a kind of educational institution. So I will just limit to government. So I can choose in which format do I want the data. Since I'm looking for data to use on SPSS or Tableau, I will just say I want Excel data, or I can say I want a document data. Maybe I can say I want a PDF data, depending on the kind of data I want. I will just click on Microsoft Excel, and then I will just say Advanced Search. The combination is not good, so I will go back and see what is wrong. And I think what is wrong here is, I will just remove this and try again. Okay, now it has given me all sort of data, and now look at it. Look at this. All the extension of the sources of this data comes from a government source, which means it is very, very legitimate. And some of this data, they are Excel data. Some are not. So I have to keep on searching until I find the data that is suitable for my study. So this is just a test, okay? So you can search data through this place. Now, another important place to search for data, especially if you are using, if you are looking for data to use for machine learning or artificial intelligence, or to use on SPSS, there's a place called GitHub. GitHub is a science community, or is a research community where people post different types of data. And with this data, you can achieve so many things. So I can just go to Google and type GitHub, or I can just click directly on a link here, which is the direct source of all the data. So from there, I should be able to see different types of data. This is GitHub for your information. And the data that is on top, which is trending, is the COVID-19 data. So if, let's say, I want the COVID-19 data, I can just click on this data. If I don't want the COVID-19 data, I can go back and I can just say search. Maybe I'm looking for data to do with, let's say, diabetes, for example. Diabetes. I will just search and see if there is any data to do with diabetes. Yeah, there is one data set. So I can just go to the data set and I can click on download, and then I will download the zip, and that is all. When I download the zip, it should be saved on my system. Let's go for let's give a test. Let's say extract. So I will save the data here, and after saving the data, as you can see, the data is zipped. So if you are having a zip on your system, which is a software which allows you to unzip data, then you're good to go. All you have to do is to right click on this data, and then you click on extract data. So you should be able to specify where exactly you want to save the data. For me, I will just say extract it here, and the data will be extracted, and this is the data. Okay, so if you don't have this software, which is called WinRAR, you can just go and download any kind of WinRAR software. It is free, I think. Oh, Facebook has figured out that I'm misusing the system. So now, okay, so I can download WinRAR, and with WinRAR I can be able to unzip that file. So just download WinRAR, and then automatically the file should be able to be zipped. Okay, then this is for GitHub. So with GitHub I can be able to download so many types of data. Now the next thing I want to show you is another platform called Kaggle. Kaggle is also another research platform where you can find a lot of data for research, and especially data scientists. If you are a data scientist, then this is your place. And in Kaggle you can even see data competition. For example, you are at home, you are doing nothing, and you want to earn some money. You can come to Kaggle and see if there's a competition going on. If there's a competition, then you can just register and join the competition. If you win, you get money up to $2,000, $3,000, $5,000. You can use it. So this is also Kaggle. In Kaggle, we can go to the database side, and we can see, as you can see, COVID-19 is just on top of every repository. Maybe because of the urgency of the data. So from here you can also open the data, and you can just download the data by clicking on download. This data is 12 GB, so you have a long way to go. So you can see information related to the data, what has been used, how the data has been used, and what people are using the data for, and so on. So this is Kaggle. And then the next thing I want to show you is Reddit. Reddit is also another data sourcing information. And with Reddit, I should be able to secure data for myself. And it's not as powerful as the previous ones, but they are also trying. It's a research community. You can find a lot of data related to research. This is Reddit. And then one of the famous and all-time sources for data is what we call the UCI database. UCI database is a very, very powerful database. And when artificial intelligence started, these are some of the places that people really utilize when sourcing data. So you should be able to see a lot of data here. There are so many data. You just can search the data, and then you should be able to see the data you want. You can let's try this one. With the Irish data, I can be able to just I can see the characteristics of the data, the content of the data, the number of features in the data, and everything. And even the papers that have used this paper and cited this data set. So I can just go on dataset folder, and then from dataset folder I can be able to download the data from here, iris data. So I just click on this, and automatically I download it. Sorry, I'm a little bit fast because we have a lot to talk about. Then another important place to show you is this is a Wikipedia source. I know some people would say that Wikipedia is not reliable, but not always. So this is a Wikipedia source. In this Wikipedia source, you can see that they have collected thousands of places where you can source data, okay? And they have categorized the data in a way that you will understand. If you are looking for image data, they have it. If you are looking for text data, they have the sources. You are looking for sound, signals, physical data, biological data, anomaly data, financial data, weather forecast, sensors, internet, everything. They have all the sources of the data here. All you have to do is to go to the link, and don't worry to ask. I'm going to share all these links with you when I finish this workshop. Then the rest of the data we need not to explore. They are just like the rest of the data, but I will talk about a few with you. Especially there is this repository that has so many data as well. You can also check this. It is called 40U. They have they have so many information for researchers. They have research data for many kind of usages. So you can also try this website. And then recently Google introduced a website also called Google Dataset Engine. Now, if you are a researcher and you don't know specifically where you should search for your data, one place you should go is Google Dataset Engine. You can search for any kind of data, and from here you should be able to be given so many alternatives where you can identify your data. And then I want to give you a bonus for those of you who are looking for for those of you who are using what we call meta-analysis. Some people, when they do literature review, they use something we call meta-analysis to study data. So if you are using meta-analysis and you want to understand the trends in data, you can always check Google Trend, and with the Google Trend you should be able to know what is trending in your field of research. Let's say you want to know that how many people have used the word COVID-19 in the last few months. So Google Trend will show you that from June 2019 to March 2020, this is the amount of people that have searched for the data COVID-19 or the word COVID-19, and it keeps on trending, and they give you some good information. Look, they even tell you that this is the region of the world that uses the word the most, and this is how people have used the word, and so on. So this is very important for researchers to know how to use. And I want to give you another bonus for this session. It is called Google Alert. Okay. Now, Google Alert is a website that helps you monitor activities. Okay. So what I usually do is, when I'm looking for a paper and nobody has published the paper yet, or probably I'm working on my research and I want to make sure that nobody is doing a similar research like mine. So all I have to do was to just come and give the name of the research. For example, I'm working on PowerShell. I want to know anybody who talks about PowerShell on the internet. I like to know who the person is, why he talked about PowerShell, and in what context he talked about PowerShell. So I will just create the alert. I can have some options here to limit the location. I can even specify my address so that it will be sent directly to my address, and then I'll just click on create alert. Now I set this for my name as well. Anybody who mentions my name on the internet, I will be told that you are searching for me. A lot of people search for my name. I don't know why. I also did the same for my father. Before he died, I wanted to know who are talking about my father actually. So you can also do this. It's very good for researchers. You can be able to track information related to your research, especially data or some kind of information. So this is for outsourcing primary sources of data. Let's go back to our slide and see what has been done so far. So I think basically this is for primary sources of data and how we can source data. And I'm going to share the link for this, what we call all the links for this. Sorry, I have one thing that I've forgotten to mention. It's a website actually I found last year. If you are doing a research that has to do with development of some software or some system or some model, and you don't know exactly how somebody has developed that software, for example, or that system. Let's say you want to develop a mosquito detector, for example, and somebody has written a paper and talks about how he invented that system. So in this website, I can be able to read people's research, and at the same time, I should be able to see the codes in which they use to implement the research. So now these are different research conducted by different people, and let's say the first research, I want to know how this research was conducted. I can click on the code, and automatically it gives me the source code of that particular system, and from there I should be able to look at the code. And by the way, if you are to use the code without acknowledging the source, then you are doing what we call plagiarism. So you cannot do that. At least acknowledge the sources before you use it. Okay, at least do that. They deserve the respect. So this is the website. It is called what is it called? It's called Paper with Code. This is the name of the site, and there are a lot of discussions going on this website. And also another most recent source I want to share with you is Mendeley. Okay. From using Mendeley, we can also, sorry, we can also source data, any kind of data. We can source both primary and secondary data. So this is Mendeley, and okay. All right. So basically, Mendeley is originally designed as a tool for managing references. I've given a workshop on how to use Mendeley. You can search for that on YouTube. Then you can click on datasets. From dataset, you should be able to see all the data people are using for conducting one or two researches, and then you can also search for the data if the data is not available. So this is the option where you have to search for the data. So far they said they have 22 million data sets from different domains which you can use for conducting research. So remember the word, it is Mendeley. I'm going to copy this. I have not included it on my list, so I'll just include it for you so that you can add it to your collection. And for those of you who are not advanced users of computer, in case you are not sure whether you will remember this link, you can always keep a bookmark of that link by clicking on this, and you can create any kind of location that you want this to be saved, so that anytime you want to refer to it, you can just click on done, and then you should be able to check the location and search for the data. So we are done with primary sources of data. So far we have spent 1 hour. So let's look at the other one, and that is the secondary sources. So for the secondary sources of data, I've already mentioned, for those of you who have joined late, secondary sources of data are those data in form of books, publications, training materials, archives, magazines, newspapers, and so on. So these are very important as well in research, because these are what we use to build argument for our research. So the first source is official publications. There are different ways we can find official publications in form of white papers, in form of reports, in form of bulletins and statistics, for example. And mostly we use systematic review. There are many types of review, but mostly these days we use systematic review to review these materials. We also use meta-analysis to review these materials as well. And of course, for journals and articles, we are also going to look at some sources where we can find legitimate articles for research. And then we look at academic textbooks. We are going to look at websites for where we can find textbooks for research. We are going to look at websites where we can find blogs and archives, documentaries in form of letters, memos, diaries, and so on. We also look at magazines and so on. We look at encyclopedia, so many encyclopedia around the world, and then commentaries, movies as well. So I'm going to take you bit by bit to see where we can source authentic and legitimate sources of secondary data. So first of all, you should know that whatever information we source from the internet, we can use the following tools to study the information. The first one is Atlas. Atlas is a literature review software. It allows you to review your sorry, not software, I mean literature review, yeah, of course, software or platform. So I can use Atlas I can first of all download the software. I don't think it's free. You have to pay for it. No, this is not Atlas, so I will use Google search, google.com. okay, so yeah, Atlas for quantitative data, for studying quantitative data. Okay, so you can download it for trial version for about 30 days. You can use it to study papers. Just give me a second. Somebody has turned on his sound. Let me disable him. Okay, all right. So we can use Atlas to study different secondary sources of data. We can study theses, dissertations, papers, and so on. And this is how it looks like. It gives you a roadmap to your literature studies. It allows you to put together sources of literature according to date, according to purpose. For example, this set of papers are referring to how this problem was solved using quantitative analysis, or maybe this type of category is talking about how data was solved using some kind of equation model and so on. So it can arrange your data in a systematic way so that you can be able to see patterns or you can be able to see correlation between different sources of information that you are using for your research. So inshallah, someday maybe I'm going to conduct a session on Atlas, how to use Atlas and how to do a lot of fun with it. Then the next thing I want to talk about for data analysis is Mendeley. I already have Mendeley on my system. So with Mendeley, I think Mendeley, yeah, this is Mendeley. Most of you know Mendeley, know how it works. So for those of you who don't know, this is Mendeley. And with Mendeley, I can manage my references. I can couple my references together. I can invite people to comment on my references, especially when we are doing a collaborative research. And in talking about collaboration, please, I'm looking for a collaborator from medical studies, somebody who is in the field of medicine. I'm going to publish a paper urgently, and I need a medical personnel to check the data and to confirm everything is okay. So please, if you know anyone, you can recommend the person, or you can ask the person to contact me. So this is Mendeley. Okay, with Mendeley, I can invite people through group collaboration. This is the option for collaboration. I can invite people to come and collaborate with me, to come and comment on my paper, to couple my papers together, to manage my references, to segregate, or to structure my papers in a way that I will quickly understand the literature I'm dealing with. Then another software is called Zotero. Zotero is also another software just like Mendeley. Then we have the rest of the softwares are all like Atlas. They are used for different types of data analysis and literature review. So now let's talk about the sources of data, especially secondary data. Now, sources of data could be public, some that are readily available for everybody to go and download for free, but some are private. You have to pay money to access them. Some are just research communities, such as Mendeley, for example. Mendeley has a research community where you can find information. ResearchGate is also another place where you can source data for free sometimes. And then there are many other places. So quickly, let's look at some of those repositories where we can find secondary sources of data. So, all right. So the first one, I will show you places where you can source books, textbooks. Some of you might argue and say books are not good for research. No, they are good, and I will tell you why. When I started my research, it took me 1 year to understand where I was heading to, because I did not have background knowledge about my field of study. So I had to consult textbooks, and to find textbooks, the first and the best location of textbook where you can see millions of textbooks for free is what we call Library Genesis. And this is the link to Library Genesis. From Library Genesis, you should be able to find books on everything. Any subject you want, anything you have in mind, you can find it in Library Genesis. And in Library Genesis, all you have to do is to search for the keyword. For example, I want to search for anything to do with communication, for example. No, let's talk about public speaking. Okay, I can just search for public speaking, and I will see like thousands of books related to public speaking. As you can see, I have up to 7 pages. I can even go beyond 7 pages. So let's say I choose the first book. I can go through the authors to see who is the author of this book, and I can sorry, just 1 second please. Okay, somebody is saying that my sources are for computer science students. No, some of the sources are computer science, because unfortunately they are somehow dominating the internet, and some of them that I mentioned are not computer science specific. For example, UCL is not computer science. You can find data for many type of research, and then there are many other. Let me quickly take a look at it and mention them by their names. Data portal is also for multidisciplinary fields. You can find data for different things. And then we have T4U. T4U is also another center for research. You can find data for social sciences, for science and technology, for arts and humanities, and so on. So it's not just for computer scientists, it's for everybody. Only that the computer science ones are the ones which I have spoken in the beginning. So I'm sorry about that if you feel that way. but I'm going to share the links. You are going to see each and every one of them. There are links which I have not even show you here because we don't have time to go into each and every one of these links. So this is why I excluded some. So you can always refer to them later on, inshallah. So next is, yeah, okay. So we're talking about this. So I want to click on the first book, and then it will show me different places where I can access this book. These are sample of databases, okay, from schools, from public records, and so on. So from each and every one of this, if I click on each and every one of them, I can be able to download this book because this book is kept in one of these places. But in order to go for the default selection, I can just click on this option, and automatically it will take me to where I can download the book directly. So it will choose the most available and the free or the less traffic data, I mean not data, repository, where I can just download it within a very short period of time. So this is the information about the book, and then this is get. When I click on get, I should be able to see this. Okay, this is save. When I save on this, automatically it starts downloading, and then I will have the book downloaded within a short period of time. So this is the first alternative. Then the second alternative, okay, my friend will now complain because the next one is for computer scientists. Okay, I'll choose a different one. So another place or location is freeebooks.net. Here you can find books for different sources or for different domains. And these are the domains. You can find books in marketing, in computer, in politics, poetry, you know, advertisement, everything. And these books, 90% are free. So you can also refer to this link. And of course, for IT students, there is also one famous for you. And you can be able to download latest books for IT and so on. Look at them. These are the fields and everything. Then you can also use Google Advanced Search to search for books, and I'll show you how you can do that. Okay, with Google Advanced Search, I can just say I'm looking for books to do with parenting. Okay, let's talk about parenting. So I want a book related to parenting. I can just say I want an ebook. I can choose the language, but I'll have to choose the format, and I want it to be in PDF. So this is PDF. No, let me use a very common topic. Let's say communication. Communication is very important, especially in marriage. This is why I'm talking about communication. So I can just search for a PDF of this, and I hope that it's a textbook. I can say Introduction to Communication. I hope it will give me some textbooks about communication. Wow, yes, this is the first alternative. I will click on next. I will open it on a separate tab, and this is another textbook. I will open it on a separate tab, and this is another textbook. So let's look at this now. Oh, this is just an advertisement of the textbook. Let's see the second one. This is not opening, and this is the textbook. Okay, I can just click on download, and I can download the textbook automatically. So let me be honest with you, if you are using this method, then not all the textbooks are free. Some textbooks you have to purchase, some textbooks they just come to you for free. So this is the use of Google Advanced tool. And then another library that I find recently very, very huge and suitable is the new library that Microsoft created called Microsoft Academy. And in Microsoft Academy, it has a link to more than 200,000 universities around the world, and I can search for journals, I can search for books, I can search for anything. As you can see, they have over 2 million publications with 2 million authors and over 700,000 topics. So this is for you to explore. You can explore according to university, you can explore according to topics, you can explore according to authors who has done something about it. And then the next thing I want to talk about is one huge database that I find also very interesting, and it gives you an option to choose which area of study you want. So these are the areas of study: general areas of study, health and medicine, anthropology, history, business, life sciences, mathematics, chemistry. You know, there are several fields here which you can explore, and all these places are linking you to databases where you can download books, sometimes for free, sometimes for payment. There are a lot of journals attached to this. For example, one of them is the Ubale online library. We have the Gesto, we have the Scopus, we have the PubMed. This is very, very powerful and good for medical students. So you just click on one of them and it will take you to the website where this data sets or this data is saved. And somebody has just sent a message. Let me quickly take a look. Okay, this we can discuss later, inshallah. I've got your message and we'll talk about it later. So you can search for anything to do with COVID-19 and you should be able to see papers related to COVID-19 in this library. Okay, I've just seen that somebody has turned on the microphone. Please do turn it off because we can hear the sound from the background coming. So this is one huge database for medical scientists and so on. Then let's look at journals. And before I talk about journals, I want to talk about something very important. All the journals, all the sources I'm going to share with you for journals, they are authentic, they are legitimate, and they are very good. Nobody will reject your research if you really use the sources efficiently. And you should know for your information that if you are new to research, many publication companies or journals, they don't accept papers which you found using Google search. Okay, you are looking for a paper related to, let's say, you are talking about code switching, for example. You are looking for paper to do with code switching. You come to Google. Google is not the place where you find papers for research. Don't use Google to search for papers because you might not tell whether the paper is legitimate or not legitimate, because there are many mushroom journals that publish articles for free or for money, and people get trapped in such places. So don't go for Google search. Always go for legitimate places, such as the places I'm going to share, and even more places you can find available online. So quickly, let's look at the first option I will give you. If you are working in a university where the university does not provide you with subscription, then I recommend for you to use Google Scholar. With Google Scholar, you should at least be able to find some legitimate and sometimes a mixture of legitimate. Wow, somebody has turned on the microphone. Please, can you turn off the microphone? Anybody there? Turn off your microphone, please. Check and see if you are using microphone. Please turn it off. Okay, all right, we are good. So if you cannot afford to pay for publication, or you cannot afford to purchase papers, or your university or the institution you work for cannot subscribe for you, then one alternative for you is Google Scholar. Okay, so in Google Scholar, all you have to do is to search for the topic. Let's say I'm looking for papers to do with I will look for, let's say, COVID-19. Okay, so they will give me different sources. Some are free, some are not free. When I see PDF here, it means I can quickly view the paper. And when I see HTML, in most cases the paper is not free, but some cases the paper could be free. So this is another thing. And another thing that you can do with Google Scholar is that you can use Google Scholar to cite for references. For example, I'm just writing a paper, and then I happen to use this particular paper on COVID-19. This is a paper on COVID-19, and I want to cite this paper in my work. So quickly, let me show you a demonstration on how you can use Google Scholar to cite for references. I don't know why my system is slow. It should not be slow. Okay, now we're good. So let's say I'm searching, I want to quote this paper, I want to cite this paper, and let's see who's the author. Oh, I cannot find the name of the author. Where is the name? Whatever, let's choose another paper. These are the authors of this paper. So let's assume this person called Mehta is the lead author. So let's say I've just written blah blah blah, and I want to use this as a citation, and then I say, let's say 2000. Okay, suppose. So now I want to cite the reference, but I don't have any referencing tool. So Google Scholar can help me do that by clicking on this option, which is cite, and then I can choose any of the referencing styles: MLA, APA, Chicago, Harvard, Vancouver, and so on. I just double click on this, I copy, I just go to my reference section, and just paste it and look at it. It comes just as expected. So maybe in the end, after pasting many of them, I can use the indenting technique. If of course I need indenting, I can just go to indent. Where is the option? Yeah, I can say indent first, sorry, indent hanging. Okay, I can just click on OK, and all the references here will be indented. Let's look at, wait, just a second. Okay, so as you can see, I should be able to have a good reference. So you can use Google Scholar for referencing as well, and you can see the number of citations. You can also choose according to range. You can search for papers according to range. Only papers which were done between let's say 2019 and 2020. These are the papers I'm concerned about. I click on search, and automatically it searches for the papers, and then I can have it. So this is for Google Scholar. For if you don't have subscription for publication, I mean for journals, then Google Scholar is the best for you. Now let's look at the next alternative. The next alternative is Scopus website. Scopus, if you know research, is a body that index papers or publications, and you can find a wide range of papers in Scopus website, and this is it. So I can just search for the paper, and if the paper is free, let's say I'm looking for paper on malware, if the paper is free, I should be able to download it for free. But if it is not free, then I have to purchase the paper. So I can see a lot of people, I can see collaborators, I can see journal names, because sometimes if you want to publish, or maybe you're not looking for papers, you can even come here to search for journals. You see that only index journals are available here. So you can use this as a source for looking for journals. Then the next repository I want to show you is what we call the ProQuest. And this is ProQuest. In ProQuest, you should be able to find thesis, you should be able to find journals, books, videos, and audios. So you can find many sources of secondary sources of literature in ProQuest. You can just search the name, and here you are. You just go and check whatever you're looking for, and also you can filter the what we call the search, or you can modify the search a little bit so that it will be more specific to certain information. Maybe you can choose the subject. Okay, you can choose whether it's a book or a scholarly journal or whatever it is, or you want a full textbook and so on. So this is ProQuest for you. The next thing I want to show you, especially for management students, is the website known as Emerald. Emerald is one of the popular websites or database repository for management students, people in business and so on. So you can also publish with them. They are good. They are in Q1 and Q2 journals, and then you can search for information, anything to do with research, as you can see. So this is Emerald. And the next thing I want to show you is Science Direct. This is very good for science students. Both science and technical students can use Science Direct for their research. And then for your information, if you are working on COVID-19, they have opened their COVID-19 research to the public for free. So you can check any COVID-19 paper on Science Direct. And this is owned by Elsevier. Elsevier is one of those powerful places. As you can see, the name of my university is written here. It means my university has subscribed. But if you are not subscribed, the name of your university will not show on this website, which means most of the things you can see here, you have to purchase with your own money. Let's take a look quickly and see some of the papers. Okay, so some of them are free. For me, they are free. As you can see, it's just a matter of download. But for some of you, you might not see download. You might have to purchase the paper from Elsevier. Then the next thing I want to show you is the website called Skimago. Skimago is will not provide you with sources of literature per se, but it will provide you with journals where you can find specific articles. For example, you are looking for journal of medicine. You are a medical student, and you are looking for journal of medicine. So I can just search for journal of medicine in Skimago to see the journals according to country, according to ranking, according to the quartile ranking and so on. So I can choose any journal, for example this one, and I should be able to see everything about the journal. I can see the H index. This is a very good journal, and I can be able to see, yeah, this is a Q1 journal as well. You can see that. You can see how much people have cited this journal in the last few years, and you can see the recent activities of this journal. Also, you can use this website to search for journals for publication. You want to publish in a very good journal, and you don't want to go for those mushroom journals. So you can search your area of study. My area is computer science. I can limit the search to subject-wise. I can choose artificial intelligence, and then I can just choose the region if you want. You just go for, and all this are the list of journals for computer science. And as you can see, I can see the quartile number, Q1, Q1, Q1. Maybe by the time I reach 50 or 60 pages, I will be seeing the Q2, Q2, and so on. So this is Schemago for you. And then another website that is for everyone, let me focus on website for everyone, is the Springer. Some people say Springer, some say Springer. I call it Springer. So this is another powerful place where you can find multidisciplinary articles and even books. Yeah, somebody said he needs a copy of all these things. Yes, I will provide the copy, inshallah, and then I will give all the materials you need for this workshop. So this is Springer, and then this is the another link where we can check the authenticity of a journal. If you want to publish with the journal, you can use Elsevier to check that as well. And then there is also another link I want to give you for this is belonging to Cornell University in the United States, I think, not sure. And they have a wide range of papers, and they publish only good papers, so you can use this for your research and for source and secondary sources of data. Another one for computer science students is the famous IEEE website. From IEEE you should be able to search for papers, and then that is very common, although you have to be subscribed to it. If you don't have subscription, then I'm not in support of stealing documents from online, but normally we students, what we do is when we find a paper that is interesting and we cannot purchase the paper, normally we do a little trick to access the paper without payment. It's not ethical. I'm in support of this because people are spending money to do this, so I cannot justify, claiming to use people's property without their knowledge. But sometimes as researchers, our hands are tied, no sponsorship, no support. So all I have to do is to copy the DOI number of this paper, and then I go to a website called Sci-Hub. From Sci-Hub, even though this paper is not, I cannot read the paper, I have to pay. My university used to subscribe on this, but not anymore. So I have to go and remove the barrier so that I can at least access the paper for free. And this is the paper. This is illegal. If somebody gets me doing this, they can get me arrested. Now, currently, if the IEEE see this, they can get me arrested. So please don't arrest me. I'm just trying to help educationalists to study. So this is the paper. I can just click on this to download the paper, and then I save it on my system. It's inappropriate, I repeat, it's inappropriate to use this, so don't quote me anywhere. Then recently Facebook has launched a research website where you can find research materials, and for your information, Facebook, they have money and resources, so they have so much information. So you can use this platform to search for data, although the website is still premature. They launched it just recently. But still, in future, you can use this for research. You can find a lot of publications, and Facebook, they are good in hacking people. They can hack any directory in order to get money. So they will provide you things for free, so that you can benefit. And I've shown you how to use Mendeley for searching databases, data sets. And then now I'm showing Mendeley to you for searching for literature and collaboration. I've done a video on that. You can always refer to the video. So from Mendeley, I can also use the search option to look for papers, to search for people, and so on. And then, of course, I want to recommend the last two things I want to show you as far as this session is concerned. It's the ResearchGate. Some of you are not aware of ResearchGate. Some of you are aware. But if you are not aware, ResearchGate is a platform where researchers around the world meet together to share research papers, documents, books, and so on. So if you are a research student, you should have an account in ResearchGate, because you can get alerts when people publish new papers, and most of the papers you see on ResearchGate are free. You can use it and you can have access to them anytime, and you can ask questions if you are having a difficulty in your research. Most of the time I come here and post my questions. Sometimes when you answer questions, also your presence is very well known on the social media. You can even look for jobs on ResearchGate, because people do post jobs for different positions. You can always refer to this as well. So this is ResearchGate for you. And the last thing I want to show you, for those of you who are working with statistics, if you want to report a statistic, one best website that I found very intriguing for statistic is the statistica.com. Statistica.com, they do a lot of research and put together statistics about so many things. So you can just go on statistica.com and look for statistics related to countries, related to people, related to events happening around the world. So this is for your information, Statistica. You can see a lot of incredible things on this website. And then lastly, I want to show you one website for the last time, which is called UCF Libraries. This is also another library where you can source data for research. You can source both data, primary data and secondary data. So it is left for you how you want to use it. And most of this data, they are very, very legitimate, because they are sourced from government websites as well as agencies that are legitimate and are very, very comprehensive. Okay, so these are all the archives. You can just go there and look at what you're looking for. So this is the end of this segment. There are a lot of links. I'm going to share these links in future. Someone is saying Terima kasih. Okay, Terima kasih as well. Terima kasih, thank you so much. So what else? Okay, now let's move to the next 10. Now, students like me and so many other students, they face the problem of not having data available for their research, and they cannot find the data anywhere. They have checked all the places to find data, and data is not there. So what do? You create your own data. Now, what is the advantage of creating a data? The advantage is that, number one, if you are to create the data, anybody who uses the data from the day you create it to the day of judgment or the end of the time, that person will have to cite you. Therefore, it will boost your research. It will boost your career as a researcher. So this is one advantage. Another advantage is that creating your own data can make things easier for you in terms of feature selection, so that you don't even need to select features. If you are doing a management research, then that will also be very easy. Most of you have to create your data, so that is not a new thing to you. So I have collected some steps for you for creating data. The first stage, or the first step for creating data, is you have to identify the subject or the case study in which you want to create the data for. So it could be a population of people, it could be a group of people, it could be a code, it could be an event or something on the social media. And then we have to go for the second step, which is crowdsourcing. And in crowdsourcing, what we do is you can outsource for data using interview. You collect the interviews in form of voice recording, maybe video recording, maybe you collect it based on note taken and so on. Then there are questionnaires. You collected all your questionnaires. I've already given a demonstration of how to create a questionnaire online. So you can use your questionnaire as well for crowdsourcing. You can use observation. For me, I'm using monitoring for my research. I have to monitor the behavior of a certain machine, and then I have to derive my data from that behavior. Some people have to use filtering techniques. You have to filter data in order to outsource for that data. And sometimes you have to go for news feed, especially on social media such as Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and so on. Then the next step is you have to process the data. Sometimes the data is not structured and the data is full of noise. Noise means so many unwanted properties or features in that data. So you have to compose, process, organize, and structure your data. Probably it could be a time series data, it could be a geographical data, it could be an audio-visual data. Depending on the type of data you have to create your data according to what you have. Then you have to convert the data. by converting the data, you have to convert it to so that it can be readable to the software. Any data you have to process using software, it has to be readable to the software. By just fetching the data and feeding the data to the machine or to the software, that is not really possible. You have to convert the data into a possible readable format, and then you have to label the data. You have to make data sensible to the machine, and then you have to convert it to CSV, or you have to convert it to Excel and so on. And then lastly, you have to do the analysis of the data. Of course, you can do analysis using some of the recommended softwares which I have recommended above, such as SPSS, Tableau. Maybe you want to feed it to artificial intelligence, or maybe you want to use the data to study simulation and so on. So you can use the data depending on your target. The next thing we have to talk about is very important, which is called ethical issues and approval. So what is ethical issues? Ethical issues are the issues surrounding data collection and data creation. Sometimes before you collect data, especially in developed countries, they won't allow you to collect data until and unless they understand the ramification and implication of that collection process. Is it going to affect people? Is it going to put people in risk? Is it something to do with medical trial? Is it something to do with taking blood samples from people? Is it going to be something to do with taking measurements of the body? Whatever the case, you have to seek what we call approval. So approvals comes in two ways. Sometimes you have to look for community approval. You want to go to a village and conduct research. Therefore, you have to talk to the village head or some people who are elders, tell them that this is what you intend to do and this research is purposely going to be done for so reason and so on. And of course, sometimes it will necessitate paying money to people so that you can console them or make them comfortable. You have to give them gifts and so on. And then we have bureaucratic approval, which is a very more advanced way of seeking approval, which includes requesting formally that you want to do a research on a particular subject, and you have to provide evidence of that research and so many other documents. And bureaucratic approval normally can be secured through your university, or it can be secured through some institutions or some global organizations such as WHO and so on. For your information, I cannot give any recommendation because different locations or different places have their different government bodies or institutions that provide such approval. So the last thing I want to talk about in this session is the issue of publishing your data. Now, after you have created your data, you have done everything to do with the construction of the data, don't just keep the data to yourself. Let other people benefit from the data. And how do you do that? You publish the data. So first option is you can try Elsevier data repository using the Mendeley tool, which I've just shown you a few moments ago. This is the Mendeley website where you can submit data so that other people can use the data. So this is the place, data sets. So you can come here and you can submit your data. Okay, do that at your own personal time. Then also you can use the Elsevier website. Elsevier has a particular website within their website which allows you to submit data so that other people can use the data. And one of the reasons why today research and innovation is very huge, and we have so many research going on around the world, is because people are publishing their research data. Another alternative for publication of data is one of this. Number one is Kaggle. I visited Kaggle websites with you. I show you how Kaggle works. You can post it on Kaggle. You can use ResearchGate to submit your data. You can use GitHub. You can use the rest of this. All of these are places where you can submit data. Some of them you need to submit some document to support or to show that yes, this is your data and this is original and this is how the data has been used. For data creation, there are many processes for data creation. I've spoken some of them in the past. Although it's not complex, you can always go for secondary sources of literature to find more about creating databases. Although I have some references for you to have a look. And then also you can target data articles. People who, what they do is they publish data just like you can publish your article. Okay, and the advantage of publishing data is, number one, it will add you more advantage, because as an academician you need to publish as many as possible. So now, after publishing the paper in which you use the data for, then you can go for the publication of the data itself, so that you can benefit from the two. So it will undergo a peer review, and after some approval, then you have to mention how you use the data, the problem of the data, how the data can be applied, which techniques you can use to apply the data, and so on. So this is all about publishing data. And I think this is the end of today's session. These are some of the sources which I consulted for some of the points above. You can always look at these sources as well. And now I come to the point where I say, if anybody has any question or anybody likes to contribute in this session, because I call it a session sharing. So, sorry, a sharing session. So if anybody has something to contribute, please feel free to say one or two things. At least we have about 20 minutes to expand, to reach 2 hours. So every questions are welcome, please. Thank you so much for listening. And I'm really happy that you guys came, and 35 of you. Thank you so much.
Truly appreciate.
So somebody is asking. So you can type your question in the chat box. I will go through the chats and reply. If you can not speak, you can do that. If you can speak, then you can turn on the microphone and you can ask your question or share your contributions. Thank you so much.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
Assalamu alaikum.
Yes, wa alaikum salam.
Yeah, please, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
Yeah, my name is Yakubu, and I'm just trying to confirm, just ask, if you deposit your data in those repository,
yes,
do you get cited?
Of course you get cited. I've shown you one example from one of those websites where one particular, let's say UCL library, is it? Yeah, let me just show you the evidence. Okay, this is a database for iris. This is a flower, okay? And all the papers which have cited this, excuse me, let me start from the beginning. All the papers which have cited this particular data set, they have cited the paper. I mean, look at it. Look, all these are people who have cited this what we call data set. So if your data has been used by someone, definitely they will cite it, and you will be notified that so and so have cited your paper. I mean, have cited your database or data source. So you will be cited for sure. I hope your question is answered, sir. All right. So I have seen questions regarding whether this recording will be available. Yes, this recording will be available after this. I'm going to share a link with you where you can go and download this video as well as the material. So, any more questions and contributions, if any?
Yes. Good evening, sir.
Yes. Good evening. How are you?
I'm fine, sir. Well done.
Thank you.
You have really tried.
Thank you.
May Allah reward you abundantly, sir.
Thank you so much.
I dropped a question in the inbox, though you did not take a note of it.
Yeah, there are a lot of them.
Should I say it here?
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Okay. I am a physical science student, precisely studying physics.
Okay.
I wanted to write some papers on the current pandemic, COVID-19.
Okay.
So I was able to make one paper so far.
Okay.
But I wanted to make so many again.
Okay.
And I wanted to build up a topic.
Okay.
Can you suggest topics that are related to physics and the pandemic as well?
This is a very tough question for me to answer, for the fact that I'm not from the field of physics. And also it would be unprofessional of me to comment on a place where I have no authority over. However, I can say perhaps you can look at areas where the application of machineries has helped in solving COVID-19. For example, some of these detection techniques for COVID-19 the detection techniques, the prediction techniques, the machines used in the detection, some of them have suffered so many issues. Maybe you can investigate these issues and see how you can give any possible contribution using physics as an approach, or by looking at some of the made-ups of these machines and so on. Perhaps maybe that might be useful, but I cannot say for sure that you can apply physics on that aspect. I'm so sorry about that.
Yeah. Okay, no problem, sir. Thank you. Jazakumullah khair.
All right, thank you too. You're welcome. Okay, yes, sir. Go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam.
Mama, thank you very much for this presentation, and we really appreciate your effort towards sharing knowledge.
Okay, thank you.
Reward you abundantly.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
I'm also in the area of physics.
Okay.
Radiation biophysics, to be precise.
Okay.
And I just want to respond to one asked about this COVID-19 and in relation to physics, creating a very nice topic about it.
Okay, go ahead.
I think he can just go into biophysics, aspect of biophysics, molecular biophysics. We have huge, in fact, there are a lot of areas or topics that he can be able to develop and then give his own contribution in that direction, because the aspect of biophysics entirely deals with cells, viruses, the forces within, rapture, and other things. In fact, the magnetons, and so on and so forth. So if he will be able to dive into it or makes it go further small, definitely he will get, he'll be able to make a breakthrough. So I welcome him for that.
Okay, great. So I think the brother has heard you, and I'm very sure he will be happy to join, inshallah. So thank you so much for that contribution. Thank you so much. So I have seen one question, somebody asking whether he can be able to, where he can be able to, which tool or software he should use in analysis of secondary sources. I have given some recommendations, and I'm going to show you if you are still online. These are some of the tools we can use for analysis of secondary sources of data, and I've mentioned Atlas and Mendeley. These two software can help you in terms of categorizing the data, in terms of understanding how each source of data is related, and it can help you in categorizing the data according to particular target. For example, you are targeting to categorize your data based on findings of one particular research. So Atlas can couple all those papers together for you, so that you can be able to understand the variation in the different papers and what they are liking or what they are having in common. So Atlas is the best when it comes to literature review. And then with Mendeley also you can do some things, not to some extent, but at least Mendeley can help you. And the rest of these two open meta-analyst and this very one also can help you with data analysis, so you can try and see which one suits you. But for Atlas, I think it is very, very academical, and it is suitable for people who are just beginning, who are just beginners in the field of research. So you can always try that as well. I hope that question has been answered. So okay,
hello.
Yes, go on, please. Go on, please.
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you, sir. Go on.
Okay, yes, this is Architect Kiru, all the way from UAE.
Okay.
I want to first and foremost appreciate your effort and hard work and the generosity to share this knowledge with us.
Thank you.
I want to once again appeal that if you shouldn't forget, please, to share this link to all of us so we can access this information once again and go through them. Thank you, sir.
Definitely. I will do so. Yeah. So, any other question? Let me read the chat box. I can see some questions here. Somebody is saying, yes, I have mentioned that I will share the link where you can download this video as well as the materials. And I'm going to share the list of all the search engines and repositories which we have used in this session. And then another question is about software for analysis of secondary data. That question has been answered. And then another question is, please, any idea on research methodology on simulation? No idea. It depends on what kind of simulation you're using, but I believe there are a lot of research materials for simulation, so you can always do that. Another question is that, can we use SPSS for secondary data? No, we cannot use SPSS for secondary data. Basically, SPSS is for data analysis, and we try to find so many relationships in data, patterns, correlations, and so on. So there are many tests you can use on SPSS, so you cannot use it for secondary data. Rather, you should use it for primary data. So I think basically these are the questions so far. Unless if other people have more questions, then we have about 8 to 7 minutes, 7 to 8 minutes. So you can ask. Otherwise, I will just create the link where you will be able to download this video. All of you, you copy it, and then we can end the session. Okay, please, if you are intending to exit this session, please don't exit right away. I'm trying to create a link for you where you can all download these materials. So please stay online for the time being.
Assalamu alaikum. Muhammad Kiru.
Yes, sir.
I have a question, please.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
I have a question.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, please.
I'm wondering, have you done any research that has to do with, have you done any research that has to do with tacit knowledge? Tacit knowledge. If you have done, what is your idea on the best way to go about it?
I don't know actually, because I have no idea.
You want me to rephrase?
No. I understand your question. I'm saying that I don't have much idea on that aspect you are talking about, and I have never done something like this on that particular area. So maybe another time, if I have the time to explore the area, perhaps maybe I might do 1 or 2 things. But right now, I don't think I'm qualified to comment on that.
Okay, thank you.
All right, sir.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam. Yes, sir, go ahead. So somebody is asking a question. Please go ahead. Now I'm going to share a link to my Google Drive. When you just copy the link, because when we end this session, everything is going to disappear. So copy this link. You can add it to your phone or to your laptop or to any software you have. Right now, this video is not available on the Google Drive, but after 4 to 5 hours, I will try to upload the video on this drive. So you can always refer to this folder to access this information. I've also recorded other tutorials on Mendeley research methodology and so on. You can always have a look at the rest of materials that are available there. So in the case of future, you can keep this link. I will not change it. Anytime you need to access information related to our workshop, you can always find it there. Thank you so much. So is there any more question before we go? So I guess there is no any question. So once again, thank you so much everyone for spending your time. Even though I'm still a student, but you gave me a listening ear. That means a lot to me. And inshallah, I hope that we have more of this in future, and I hope to also attend if some of you are conducting similar exercises elsewhere. So thank you so much everyone, and have a wonderful evening or afternoon depending on where you come from. So I will turn off the sharing of this coverage, but I will leave the channel open so that you can have time to copy all the things. And I will wait for at least 10 to 15 minutes more. In case somebody has a one-to-one question, you can go to the chat box and send it to me directly in case you have such questions. So once again, thank you so much, and I wish you a wonderful day. Ma'assalam.
Hello.
Yes, yes, sir. I can hear you.
Thank you, Doctor. Please, can I drop my email address so that I will have the slides of this?
Now, I wouldn't mind taking your email address, but I'm afraid if I take your email address now, everybody will try to ask me to send. And by the way, you will face one problem. The problem is that if I send it to you through your email, your email might not be able to contain the information. So it is better for you to.
Don't you use this in? I'm using Google. I'm using Google Drive as well.
Okay. All right then. You can share right now. Just go to the chat box and send it. I will copy and save it for future use, inshallah.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir.
All
right, sir. I'm going to share the slides as well. Yes, I will do that. The links and all the things, everything I've talked about, I'm going to share it on this link.
Okay, so sharing it. So no need to even send the email now.
If it depends on you. If you want me to send directly, no problem.
It's okay. Let me.
Assalamu alaikum. This is Bachelors for the daily reminder. We'll cover 5 things to Allah: a verse, a question, a story, 2 authentic hadith, and 2 action items.
Is anybody talking? I can hear some background noise. Is it?
Hello?
Yeah, hello. Yes. Yes, go
hello,
on.
Sir.
Yes, go on. I can hear you. Hello, go on. I can hear you.
Hello, sir.
Yes, I'm listening. Tell me. I'm hearing.
Please, Rabi Adamu, I wanted to have his email address.
Okay, my email address.
Rabi Adamu, the person that reply for physics question that I asked.
Okay, all right. I will type my email address now. Okay, I've seen your email address too, so I will take it. Okay. All right. So somebody is asking a question. Please, which site or platform can you recommend for learning how to use SPSS? Wow, that's a big question. Well, let me see. I used to have some of these websites. Let me check quickly. Wow, that was a very long time. I don't think I still have it. You know what? Just go on YouTube. There are a lot of videos on SPSS. I'm very sure you can find a suitable video for that. But currently, I cannot say 100% which video is best or which one is better. Just have a look at some of them. I'm very sure you will find a suitable video to use as reference. Somebody is asking whether you can share the link and material for people who have not attended. Look, knowledge is not mine. Knowledge belongs to God. I also belong to God. So if you feel like sharing, you can share, no problem. You are permitted to share. So
you guys doing? Welcome to another live stream. This is not the official live streaming channel. So go to that one, check the description. Also, I want you guys to call in today. This is when you guys, I know when you see the question, it's a question and it's not an admonishment.
Okay. So I guess there are no more questions and nobody is asking for anything. So I will just sign out of this session.
Hello.
Yes, hello. Yeah, go on.
Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Walaikum assalam. Welcome, sir.
Thanks for the academic message, sir. My name is Umar Ismail.
Okay.
Calling from Nigeria, sir.
Welcome, Mr. Umar.
Sir, when you are mentioning the sources of a primary data, you have mentioned something like a paper with codes.
Yes, I did.
Please, but I didn't get you right there. If you can help me at least shed a little more light on that area, please, sir. I will be very grateful. You are very happy. May God continue to guide you in all your daily endeavors. Thanks very much.
All right. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Give me a second. Okay. Basically, Paper with Codes is a website created for academicians so that they can have access to research done by people, and then at the same time you can be able to see how the research was done. Let's say they use a code to create, let's say they created a system, let's say the system is a machine learning system or is a system that detects malaria on patients. So let's say COVID-19, for example. Let's try to check for anything on COVID-19. So now somebody has done a paper related to image recognition or imaging of data collection. So whatever it is, this person has coded some information, or he has used computers to create some codes using programming languages. So now if I want to use this paper, I have the liberty to use the paper by clicking on paper to see which paper it is, and then I can click on code to see the codes that were used in creating this system, which is COVID-19 image data collection. So I will see everything about the code. These are the data sets which the person has used, and probably these are some of the simulations or some testing that the person has also used. And I can even say that the person has used TensorFlow, and TensorFlow is a deep learning technique for machine learning. So using TensorFlow, he has created this. Using TensorFlow, he has created this as well. So with this, I can be able to download the data and see how exactly he built his algorithm. Because sometimes when you just read the paper, it's not sufficient enough to provide you with the insight on how somebody conducted the research. And to me, research looks more legitimate if somebody provides the data that help in conducting the research. So this is why we use this website called Papers with Codes. I hope that answers your question.
Thanks very much. Thanks a lot, sir.
All right. The link will be shared as well, so you can have a copy of the link as well.
Okay. Thank you very much. We are very grateful, sir. Thank you very much.
All right. So I think I should exit the session. So no questions, right? Okay, I've seen some chats coming. Let me just check for the last time. Okay, most of the questions are related to whether I'm going to share this or not. Yes, I will share this at the end of this session, maybe in the next 4 hours. Yes, you can share with others if you want. So I think that's all for today, inshallah. So once again, thank you so much, and I'm signing out.